Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Black Box Thesis Talks. And we're here in the Graduate Studies Gallery in 950 ArtCenter South Campus in our exhibition, Reveal, Uncovering Layers of Creativity. And so we had a few talks with some of the artists and designers here about their thesis and their creative journey. And so today we're going to have a talk with Master's Graphics students. By the way, right now in the South Campus, you can see we actually have the Printed Matter Ally Art Book Fair. First time for ArtCenter here. This book fair started in 2013, and it's just a massive book fair for artists and creatives and publications for art. So if you have a chance, come on down to ArtCenter this weekend. I think tomorrow is the last day for that. But again, welcome to the Thesis Talks, and we have a great one for you today. It's a special one. We have a little bit of a technical challenge today. We have one guest here in person, and we have another guest out in San Francisco. And so over here you can see our guest will be Shengjie Wu. He's over here. And Z Feng, you can see his poster up there, but he's going to be in San Francisco. And the discussion is going to be led by Sam Jan Fleming, and she's the Associate Chair of Master's Graphics, Iconic Creative Director, and Gerardo Herrera, who's the Chair of Brand Des Graduate.
We might get some technical issues, so let me go just check.
Okay, so here we have Shengjie, and the first question we always ask our guest is, so Shengjie, maybe you just tell us about your creative journey to ArtCenter, and then maybe a little bit about your thesis.
Thank you, James. Hi, I'm Shengjie Wu, and then I'm from Shenzhen, China. Before I joined in ArtCenter, I was having my bachelor degree in Washington State University, and be a graphic designer is one of my dreams. So, but I did not have a chance to, learn graphic design when I was in my undergrad degree. So I got chance to study here, and then ArtCenter just teach me like how to push my boundary. Because before I touch graphic design, I thought graphic design just like branding and all the stuff. But when I have my experience in in ArtCenter, I'm not only learn how to make books, but also have a chance to build like an immersive experience based on the branding that I created. So I think it is such an incredible journey in ArtCenter. So yeah.
And Z, tell us about your journey. Oh, you're on mute.
Uh-oh.
There you
Thanks,
are.
guys. I'm Z. Yeah. And yeah, I'm from China as well. And before coming to ArtCenter, I almost spent like 10 years doing fine art, from drawing to painting to some like installation work. So like what first caught my eye about ArtCenter was, to be honest, it's just like a student's work. It looks super strong and super impressive and really well crafted. But also across different, like from person to person, that made me feel like, oh, this is the place, like doesn't push one style. It can really give people like a space to find their own voice. So once I looked deeper into this class, this program, I saw that there's also like strong structure, especially in terms of the, you can imagine this like a spectrum. One side is for the branding, it's very practical, and another side, it leaves room for more experimental and abstract thinking. So I think that mix really stood out to me. So yeah.
Well, thank you guys. What about telling us a little bit about your thesis and that work in particular? Shengjie, you want to start?
Yeah.
There you go.
So my thesis is about typography on car dashboard, like, because I'm really interested in car and culture. So I was thinking that like, what if something that graphic design could be involved into car industry? So when I drive in the car, I feel that car dashboard is one of the main element in cars. So I'm just thinking like how the type and design on dashboard could affect driving experience. So I just create my thesis that I build a kind of like an archive or car dashboard from different time area, and then started the typography on it, and then to learn like the size or color, and also which typography could affect driving experience based on different speed or different layout. So yeah.
And how does that affect what you do now? Like, what are you doing now, and how does that resonate with what you're working on now?
Okay. So I'm really lucky that since I'm really interested in car, and then right now I kind of working at Pearson Automotive this museum, and then so it's really exciting to use my skill in graphic design, also, building like connection into artwork, car works, and then also graphic design. So yeah, it's like really interesting to working in a car industry since I really like it. Yeah.
Well, all of us thought that was really a fascinating thesis, and you had a really clear idea of that from the very beginning, I think, of the thesis process. Tell us a little bit more about how you researched that and what you thought about during the whole process of making and creating the thesis project book.
So yeah, like research is always really interesting part because with the research I kind of lucky. I'm really excited to see, when technology involved and then change the layout and typography on car dashboard, and then not only like visually to see different dashboard, but I have a chance to interview some people that is, quite famous in car industry. So I learned something that one of the guys told me that, like there's no one perfect car dashboard in the world. So it's all depends on the need and then the purpose of the car. I think that's not only, important in car industry, but also in our graphic design world. So we need to, not only to create good looking, but we also need to, figure out the main purpose behind it.
Right.
So yeah.
I'm going to say, Shengjie, one of the things that, Shengjie, one of the things that we, part of this whole thing is, unveiling all the layers, right? In terms of this. For yourself, I'm assuming you're a car guy. You love cars?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, because I think those are the layers that gets you to what you've done today. Mm-hmm. So, what makes you just love cars? Like, I mean, I like cars, but I'm not like, I love cars.
Yeah. I think that's really, based on my childhood, because Initial D is one of my favorite cartoon when I was in child, and then and then I don't know, I just love, the looking of the car, and then the mechanical, and also how different car can, generate different personality, and sometimes quite could represent people, especially in California. You can see a lot of car culture and car meet, and then they modify their car, and then you can tell when you see the car that, oh, this is that guy driving this car. So I think that's quite interesting.
Uh-oh. I'm going to rethink my car choices. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, Z, let's talk about your process a little bit, because you have a very different kind of thesis, and there are a lot of layers to what you were thinking about. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I think first of all, about my thesis is called Infoscape. And this project, this theme is starting from very, very simple, like starting points. Because I'm a Gen Z, such a cyber surfer. I love like hanging around online. So I was just really interested in like the things we usually overlook, like our daily hidden decisions behind the system, behind the screen, behind the operation model. We trust every day. So I think there's a view about everybody was called there's illusion. I think that data is neutral, but actually it's not, or the interface or the system, just like a passive containers. But during the process, I found, this is not, because the way of how it's structured, like how different content, how different news are being prioritized, being filtered, being designed. So I think there's a lot of, or I can even say it's full of biases, it's full of intention and emotion. So my thesis, the goal is to try to peel those layers back, and not in a dramatic way, but more like, oh, letting people sit there with discomfort of not knowing like what's real, what's noise, what's signal, what's the messaging behind that information. So that's probably it's the core idea, the core spirit of my thesis.
Right. I mean, it is about the layers of information and the layers of data and perception of that. So can you tell us what you did as a thesis project and how that played out your thinking?
Are you asking about how system runs, or what's exactly that is, or more about process?
Like what did you make or suggest as your thesis project, your thesis outcome, to help us understand that thesis?
I think I am trying to build a system that this system or of this operation model can help people like better understand, better dig deep into the messaging we are facing every day, and trying to like eventually they're gonna help themselves to try like understand the all of this implication behind that. So that's the purpose. That's the main purpose of my thesis.
Right.
Yeah.
I wish that you could work on that more, because we really need that for sure.
Yeah.
Especially in these times. I think it's a very relevant thesis.
Yeah, because I think a lot of design today lean towards, make things much clearer, and there's a value in that. But I'm more interested in, at least at that period of time, I'm more interested in like design that introduce the complexity, even the friction. It's not about solving the problem. It's about, brought up a bigger question to really ask people. Yeah.
Well, the question begs being fixed. It begs someone thinking about how to unravel all that complexity and help us to navigate what we have to confront every day. So I think it was a great thesis in that respect. Is there other questions that you have for Z?
I was just looking and admiring the work that Z put up here on his exhibit here. I mean, just looking at the work that you were doing here, Z, and just seeing how all those pieces were coming together were pretty cool, especially when we think about printed matter and the things that are happening here right now today at ArtCenter with printed matter and the work that goes into that. Give me 1 second. Let me go. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. I just thought this was just really cool to kind of see what you were doing here, Z. And, there's a lot of work that went into how you would show your information, highlight the information and the design that's going into that. And kind of just looking at just some of the overall artifacts that you put on here. What was the most enjoyable part of putting this all together? Because that was a lot of stuff you had to dig into in terms of your process and your data and just the design on top of that too, because your thesis is also about writing and research and all the things you had to do. What was the most enjoyable part? I think like everything was, but what was your like, wow, this is awesome. I never thought my thesis would take me this way.
Yeah, I think the most enjoying part was uncontrollable, because I think I've got trouble during the process tons of time, and during the process I gradually realized that, oh, if it's uncontrollable, just let it go, because I'm thinking like we've been trained to expect like a instant clarity for design, like if something well designed we should get it right away. But for this piece, I wanted really like slow myself down, even slow people down. If you just glance at it, it might like feel a little bit abstract or a little bit sleek. But if you spend more time, you start to notice glitch, those tensions, those abstract moments. So I think that's the moments that I found most interesting and most enjoyable during the process?
Oops. And the
Thank
same
you.
for you, Shengjie. What did you find the most enjoyable about your process working on this?
Um, so I think
Yeah.
That'd be good. Show
Also,
us around the
you should look
dashboard
at this
here.
book. Yeah, it's great. Talking about book design.
so. I think the most interesting part is like building the archive of car dashboard that we can see through like from before early 80s to currently how we could see like an analog dashboard like this one, like kind of like horizontal landscape kind of version versus nowadays the big screen with digital dashboard. So I just seem like it is really interesting to see how much information we can see on dashboard, and then also made me to think that it is kind of like information overloaded problem as we face right now happens a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and also another part of interesting to making this thesis is it is not only making a books but also making like an exhibition prototype like that one, and also immersive experience and branding. So it allows me to kind of touch different area of graphic design, like books and exhibition kind of layout, and also the research that let me learn that that's quite interesting that a lot of people did not notice that dashboard affect driving experience that much in nowadays. So yeah.
I mean, it's also user interface
Yeah.
when you get down to, the basic designs of what's in a car. And nowadays, especially because everything is so screen-based, there is something that you have to think through as a designer in that sense, right?
Yeah.
And I guess in all of the different eras of car design, that happened, but in different ways. So now it's just a very different kind of exercise.
Yeah, and I think that also allow graphic designer have more opportunity to bring their creativity on car dashboard design, because the technology just give us a lot of accessibility to
Right.
brainstorming.
Right.
Yeah.
If you had to pick your favorite era or dashboard design and graphic, what would that be?
I think it's my car. No, I just kidding.
What
my car is have
What car is that?
My car is have pretty cool dashboard. I'm driving a 23 GR Corolla. So
Okay.
it has a digital car dashboard, but the typography and layout is really clean and straightforward, so I like it. But to point my favorite car dashboard is going to be the Lexus LFA, which actually I printed out. I
Which
can
one
show
is
you
it?
guys. So it's this one. So it's the kind of like analog and digital that mixing together at the same time. So when you're switching your drive mode, for example, you want to do more dynamic to sport mode, you will just move here, and then to show the speed and also tachometer at the like very first glance, so which is like very important that I mentioned before, that each design should have the purpose, because when you're driving quick, you do not have time to see other information except the speed. So,
Right.
Yeah. So that's my favorite car dashboard.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't ever seen that car dashboard before. Z, did you have another question for these guys, James, before I interrupt again?
Hey, everybody. Sure. I mean, the show's title reveal, Uncovering Layers of Creativity. And over on the middle space here, we had 6 different prompts. And maybe we can go through 1 or 2 of those and maybe have a dialogue around that. And so the first one over here was, we have disrupting the surface, layers of unspoken, transforming vision, material alchemy, processes revelation, and eyes of depth. And so maybe we could go to disrupting the surface. And maybe Shengjie and Z, maybe think about, are you doing something that's different or out of the norm? This is your thesis works. And are you challenging different norms in the work that you do? And what kind of insights maybe do you have from that kind of, experience possibly?
So I think, because I made a lot of research about graphic design and car related, I think that, as I mentioned before, like probably a lot of people do not notice like how important dashboard could be. So there's not a lot of research or even books that specifically talk about graphic design and dashboard and how that little thing could affect driving experience that much. So I think I'm kind of like scratching the surface and then trying to let people know not only the beauty behind dashboard, but also how important the dashboard could be to building the car kind of personality and also driving behavior and experience.
I mean, honestly, I'm fascinated with your curiosity of this. Really, it took me back, nostalgic. My father had a '66 Tornado. Do you know this car?
I actually
Well, the speedometer is kind of like a tumble system. Yeah, and I think you were mentioning too that I think the combination of we're going totally digital dashboard, but I think the aspects of analog and digital is really interesting. I think to keep in kind of touch as a human factor.
Yeah. So I think that's always like a big topic between analog and digital. Like personally, I think analog can bring more connection with car and the driver, but no doubt that digital dashboard could have allow you to access more information. Like you can see your like tire pressure, you can see what music that you're playing, and those stuff you cannot access to analog dashboard. But what I think what's really important about the analog is like it's just showing the most important things of your car at in the first glance. So that did not cause a lot of like information overload problems. So just let the driver focus on driving cars. So I think if we and also graphic designer could find a way to mixing those two media together, I think that would be a really interesting topic and exercise to do.
Well, I think it's a critical investigation. I'm glad you're taking this on. It just seems like now we're driving like big iPads in a way, And so I think that there's a haptics aspect of driving, and I think in the way in terms of how we interact with it. Right. So I'm really glad you're doing that. Thanks so much. We talk about material alchemy. How important is materiality? And I mean, you're a graphics designer too, but how important, how critical is the materiality of the work investigation? The dashboard beyond the dashboard as well.
Right. Yeah, I think material is also a really important part, even in graphic design world. So as you can see, like books involve a lot of material, and also of course dashboard. Because I think I make a research before that when the LCD technology like leading to dashboard design, like everything just changed. Like you can see a neon color on your dashboard that would increase the legibility when you're driving at night. So I think material play a really, really important component in graphic design or product design, and even in our work, like different material could bring different, touch experience that could be generate another like emotional feeling, something like that. So I think material is really good. Good component.
Thanks so much. I can't wait to see what you do next in this regard. So I think we have Z back. So Z, did you have the question?
You didn't hear the question, maybe.
Okay. So it was really like we talked about disrupting the surface. And does your work challenge beyond the norms in a sense in the investigation that you did? And if so, maybe talk about those insights and that level of depth that you took in your work.
Yeah, sure. So because my thesis work was mainly focused on the screen. So that's such a huge challenge to let me like how to transition from a screen-based topic to a kind of like a more physical, more material focused execution. So I used to be obsessed with controlling every details, every outcome, even it's on the screen or it's physical. But this piece really taught me like to really trust the system itself, and you don't have to like impose your own narrative onto it, because this shift from control to conversation, I think was huge for me, because it just not seeing like design just like a solution, but as a really like a process, like a questioning tool. And I think that's where the idea of the exhibition really hits.
Thanks for that, Z. And maybe you could talk about maybe materiality. How does material play in your work? I mean, maybe from 2D to 3D, even if you think about like surface, like sheen, matte, glossy, like how does that play into your works?
Yeah, so basically, for example, one of the chapter in my thesis is called language. And I was thinking, can people or can algorithm make this traditional, for example, a book, a 2D flat surface, how can we get through the information like to really bring people into that journey? So this is a challenge for the screen. So you can see the language part. I was using like the processing, kind of coding stuff to really make this process into a narrative within the 3D depth. And in the reality, in this exhibition, I was trying to use 4 different transparent materials paper to differentiate, to separate the content in layers. So I think that's a very interesting connection to me, because it really challenged me to think about like, how can we push the way we view information or our reading instinct in a different way. So yeah.
Thanks for that, Z. Maybe another question, because you're kind of getting into some depth here, and Shengjie, we'll start with you. And one of the prompts we have too is you're uncovering some layers of meaning, but imagine somebody going through your work, they see your work, enjoy it. Is there layers that are kind of hidden that you think you'd want your guest or whoever's looking at your work take in so they can maybe come back to you, or what has some kind of longstanding sort of messaging, or have you thought about that? And how do you do that?
So I think for my thesis, the very surface part, it just allow people to celebrate the beauty of dashboard, and then to see how different area, different time that could be a different kind of like dashboard. But in more deep level, I want the audience to actually to think about if they have any chance to even notice that your dashboard, like what information your dashboard is showing to you, and thinking that if theirs could be affect your driving behavior. And then also, I just want audience to, have more interaction with their car and dashboard by, knowing the importance of the typography on it and also the layout of it. But I think what I do is not only showing the different image of the dashboard, but also kind of showing some data, like how different negative space of different type size could affect like different reaction when you're driving the car. So I believe when audience see those data, they will have like a basis ideas about how importance the tiny design on the dashboard could affect their overall behavior when they're driving the car.
I was just going to say that one of the things that strikes me about these two projects in particular is that, you know, for our thesis process for MGX, one of the goals is to really increase the discussion around graphic design and to allow people to think more deeply and broadly about graphic design's effect on everyone and how we don't see it for the most part. And for designers to really challenge themselves to think beyond a brief, beyond something that's given to them, and to really go deeply into a subject and bring something that could cause this kind of ripple effect and cause that kind of discussion and engage an audience not only of designers but of users. So that is the purpose of these thesis, whole year of thesis study, is to really create that dialogue. And it starts in that classroom, but it expands on and on as each of you go into your careers and you talk about your thesis and you do things like this, and other people start to think about it, and you have the opportunity to speak about subjects. So I think the ripple effect and the many, many layers of exploration really play out in a myriad of ways for students who go through the program.
Thanks so much, Sam Jan. That's amazing. It's great to hear that. And I'm wondering if, and we did go even a little deeper too, and thanks for being part of this exhibition, by the way. You know, this is something that's never been done before. We've never exhibited graduate works, and since we do, you know, feel like these are deeper investigations, that, you know, ArtCenter were known for beautiful, shiny objects too. And so that's why this exhibition and the apparatus that we created for this was more about unveiling. And so what I want to ask you and Z, if he's here, to really think about being part of this exhibition. What have you unveiled or learned about yourself?
Well, thank you for having me about the join the exhibition. So I learned that because before I have this exhibition, I'm like a quite shy guy, so I not quite talk a lot. But but you know, since I joined this exhibition, I have a chance to talk with more people, sharing my ideas, and then also my thought. My creative journey with people. So that's made me like really, you know, happy that, you know, have a chat with each other. And then also when I saw their, you know, seeing the piece, that noticed that the dashboard actually changing people's life, I would feel more like a satisfaction or success, like, because I'm actually kind of like deliver the message that I want to the audience. So just, like, thank you for having me join this exhibition.
A very deep question for you. Hot Wheels. What was the car or the collection of cars that just really seduced you and sucked you in, and why?
Wow. I think Hot Wheels. I can't tell like which collection, because I'm actually the guy who love to collect things like Hot Wheels, and then also refrigerator magnet, something like that. But Hot Wheels did you know, be a huge part of mine, because I collected Hot Wheels since I was maybe 8 years old. So I don't know. I do not have like specific choice about which Hot Wheels, because I just pick up the Hot Wheels that I think that is cool, and that is the car that I like. So I just pick them and then hang it on my wall, and then just being like a small archive, something like that.
You can't see the dashboard in a Hot Wheel.
Yeah.
No, you can't see the dashboard. But I have the recollections of Hot Wheel too. I think I started collecting when I was about 8 years old too. And I had like a wheel that collected 12.
Oh, okay.
So I could only have 12 Hot Wheels, where I think it's different now.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for that. So Shengjie, how do people learn more about you and your work? And what do you have? Do you have anything coming up that you want us to know about?
Go to my website, which is shengjie.info, which is SHENGJIE.info. And also you can check on me on Instagram, which is Shengjie Design. So I will post my design work on it, and then have a little like a brief description about it. So yeah.
Thanks so much for this discussion. And if Z is not in, I want to invite Gerardo and Sam Jan back in and maybe have some final words about there's the work that we're seeing here.
If we get him back, well,
It's change.
I'll watch and see if his face pops up. Final words? Thesis process is really a culmination of all of the years that they're, and all of the classes and all of the faculty that give them so much rigorous training. So we test them in the thesis process to see what they have learned and picked up heading into thesis, because not only do they have to, design books, but they have to think deeply about what they're talking about. They have to present it many times and articulate that idea, clarify that idea. And then, all of the training and all of the lead up in the classes really comes into play in how they create their projects, how they design their books, how they design all of the other materials they have to do. But it's a very big and sort of magnetic process. And so it's like all of those filings come, right into thesis, and hopefully they all stuck. For these guys, they definitely stuck. So we can say with confidence.
Yeah, I think that's the fun part for me is, when they first come in as master's students, it's really fun to be working with them in their beginning classes, because we're getting them ready to start thinking about how they're going to approach the thesis. And I know I've had Z and I've had Shengjie in my classes twice, and they've had to really work through all the different pieces that I was giving them so that they could be ready for their thesis. So when they got up to Sam, then they were ready to really work with their thesis advisors, making sure that the questions that they were getting, the design that they were doing, now instead of doing it in such a quick way each term, and if our terms here are 14 weeks, but now they've got a whole, they have really a lot of time now in their thesis to really think about it very carefully and dive deeper in their studies, which is really exciting to see, because I see them doing that sprint and working with us, getting them ready, and then they go right into that. So Shengjie, I know we put you through a lot. Z, if you're still out there, I know we put you through a lot. But I think now when you look at what you've done and I see how you've done that, not only myself or all the instructors who've instructed you along the way before you got into the thesis, you felt prepared, I hope, right?
Yeah. Well, I indeed stuck a lot of time when I doing not only my thesis but also like different project. But it's all about like problem solving. Like you guys teach me like how to, find a way to solve the problem like efficiently, and also like after all the tests of the project, I can feel that the snowball just like rolling and rolling, and then I can fix all the problem that I confirm like when I having a job. Every task that coming to me, even though they are like really hard, but I still have a capability or the plan to kind of figure out based on like all the tests that I learned in ArtCenter. So yeah.
Gerardo and I were just talking today about how hard things are, and that we don't want to make them easy for you, because we think that getting a master's means that you are at a master's level, and you will be at a master's level. And part of that requires the testing, the experimenting, the failing sometimes, the many trial and errors that you go through in the process of doing something like this, but all the things in the classes that led you to this. And, you know, I would say that I have been so impressed with the intelligence of the thesis thinking overall, and that this process and all the many layers that it, you know, ask you to think about, really do bode well for, you know, the thinking part of the critical thinking skills that you have to employ and you have to get better and better at over time. And as a designer, you know, and I've worked with the greatest designers in the world, and I love that I've had that crazy experience. What always stands out is their ability to think and to think outside the box, to innovate, to unpack something in a way that you never thought they would. And for you two, I think you're really at that level of master's, you know, the degree that you achieved. And so I congratulate you on that. And I make, it's a really hard, but actually very rewarding, I hope, process. And I see what you're doing on the outside in your careers, and I think, okay, we did something right. And you did the lion's share of that something right. So I really thank you for participating in this, and I think James and Gerardo deserve all the credit for it, because they put this all together, and we just come in and make it look great and show off the work. So thank you for that, you guys.
Of course, beautifully said. Thanks so much. I learned a lot about your program, more than I ever have. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We have another master's graphics student that's going to give a talk with us on the Black Box Thesis Talks on June 20th. It'll be Greta Long. So please tune in. And we have a couple of interesting talks as well. This is actually New York Design Week starting tomorrow. It's like the furniture fair, the iconic furniture fair. And we'll be having a special talk actually on Monday with Corey Grosser, who's a faculty member at ArtCenter. He's an iconic furniture designer as well. So he's going to be launching a new project, and he'll be doing it live with us on Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time and 1 p.m. Eastern time. So anyways, thank you guys so much. Goodbye, everybody.
People are lining up to get in.
We'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.